There was a much better way to do this. It's very simple. If you really wanted this match to be considered a main event, you can't rely on just the star power of the three men involved alone. Oh, that's the main event because it's Seth and Roman and Punk. No. No.
The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
Heyo, and what is up, gang? Thank you for checking out the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show right here on Sledgehammer TV. My name is Nick Nightmare, and in this episode, we are only 6 nights away from WrestleMania 41, and I am very underwhelmed. And I'm sure some of you are too, and I want to talk about all of that with you here today on this episode. What is wrong with WrestleMania that's making it not feel like WrestleMania? Well, I did a little bit of a deep dive into my own mind, and I tried to figure out some of the reasons why, and I want to share some of those reasons with you guys, and we're going to do that right now, starting with the most obvious. I mean, you'd have to be crazy if you're a wrestling fan to look at anything that they have been doing with the women, and it doesn't have to be any one in particular. There is just some ridiculous booking and reasoning behind the matches that they are all having at WrestleMania. Most of it is very confusing. Let's start, for example, with the triple threat. Rhea versus Io versus Bianca. This whole story does not make sense. What was the point of taking the belt off of Rhea and giving it to Io? You set up Io Sky versus Bianca Belair because Bianca earned her shot by winning the Chamber this year, and then Rhea Ripley bullies her way into this match, not making her look too good, although as far as the crowd's concerned, it doesn't look like Rhea Ripley can do any fucking wrong. Right? She's clearly in the wrong here. She forced her signature on the contract, but when you look at it overall, why did she end up losing in the first place? I mean, like, as the writers behind the scenes, why would you choose to go down this direction? This is not the fault of the girls. This is the fault of creative. None of this makes sense. And then in the meantime, you're going to decide in this build that we're going to make the woman that we made champion and make her look like a complete fucking idiot. We're going to have the girl, Bianca, and we're going to have Rhea constantly mush the World Heavyweight Champion's face, the Women's Champion's face. Boom! And just completely disrespect Io. Boom! And just keep doing it. Why would you do that? None of this makes sense. If you wanted to have Bianca versus Rhea, then why didn't you just do Bianca versus Rhea? Io just seems kind of lost in this. And it doesn't make any sense. Let me know how it makes sense, if you think it makes sense, down in the comments below. Let's move on to another match. A very unnecessary Women's Tag Team Championship matchup. I believe, it is my sole opinion, and you don't have to agree, but I believe this match exists solely to have a match for fucking Liv Morgan. Because nobody gives two shits about the women's tag team titles. There aren't even women's tag teams. That was made evident if you watched the Gauntlet Eliminator for the #1 contendership on SmackDown just last Friday. So you didn't even have this pre-planned out. This is just like, oh, well, what are we going to do with Liv? Well, I don't know, she's got a new big best friend. Let's make her a tag team with her and let's give her a title so that we could put her on WrestleMania, because we can't have a WrestleMania without fucking Liv Morgan. God forbid. You want to know what they should have done with Liv Morgan? They should have just gave her a one-on-one match with Lyra Valkyria for the Intercontinental Championship. Not only are you giving us a meaningless women's tag team title match, also sacrificing the newly crowned Women's Intercontinental Champion. Don't you think it would have been more worth it for the Women's Intercontinental Champion to have a very prominent title defense at her first WrestleMania? At the first WrestleMania for the Intercontinental title of its existence? But no, instead, what are we going to do? We're going to team her with Bayley, just randomly, because we don't have any women's tag teams. Even though they were just about to kill each other a week prior to this tag match over the Intercontinental Championship, why not have that at WrestleMania instead of on a random SmackDown? Lyra Valkyria versus Bayley for the Intercontinental Championship. Although, in my opinion, Bayley going for the IC title kind of feels like punching down. Right? I know she's never held the championship and she wants to be a Grand Slam Bayley or whatever the fuck she wants to be. But it's really unnecessary. Right? And you should have Lyra Valkyria beating cleanly veterans like Bayley, veterans like Liv Morgan, and anybody that comes up against her to build the prestige of the Intercontinental Championship. Not just put her in a fucking nothing match for a tag team championship in a division that doesn't even exist. Awful. None of it makes sense. How does any of that make sense? There were actually two real tag teams in that gauntlet. You had the PFC Purely Fucking Cringe team of Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler, who at least have been a team for a while. And then you had Kaden Carter and Katana Chance, if those are their names, I forget. But not for nothing, that team in particular, Kaden and Katana, they were very impressive in this gauntlet, and I thought they should have won. They should have won. If you're going to give a championship match to a tag team at WrestleMania, it should be a legit tag team. One that dresses alike and has tag team moves and tag team chemistry and tag team psychology in their matches. Not just two random single stars. They've been doing this shit for years, and it just gets me. I friggin' hate it. Just as much as I hate Jade Cargill versus Naomi. I'm a huge mark for Jade. I know she's not the best in the ring. She's still got some work to do, but I think she's the total package. She's got the look. She's got charisma. She's got a great persona. She's got a great entrance song. Sounds like the old school X-Men 97 theme. Perfectly orchestrated to be just different enough to belong only to Jade Cargill. Fantastic stuff. What I don't like is this new evolution of Naomi. I was sick and tired of the Feel the Glow and all that shit that she was doing, right? But this somehow feels worse. And it's not a slight against Naomi, although I feel like she's done. Like, your time is done. Girls like Naomi and Natalya, like, they need to go away now. Your time has passed. I know things are only getting good now and the women are getting more attention now than ever, but take your place and come and go here and there. You don't need to be on every show, part of every angle, and teaming up with random people so that you still remain relevant. And why I'm actually really angry about it more than anything is because it just shows that WWE, still as good as everything is being, they've got no balls. They didn't have the balls to turn Bianca heel. Because that's the story here. That was the twist I think everybody was expecting and waiting for that never came to pass. Bianca should have been the one. Naomi was agreeing to take the fall maybe, but Bianca should have been the one to attack Jade Cargill. She's could be jealous of all her attention. She could be saying all the things Naomi is saying, that you're getting all your shine off of me and I'm getting nothing back from you in return, and then you go off and get hurt and leave me stranded. There's a whole thing that they could do, and it's all right there. It's written for them. They don't even have to do a lot of hard work. Deception, betrayal, vengeance, it's all there. But no, I guess somebody in the back just really has a hard-on for Naomi instead. Or is this another case of the Nepo baby thing going on? Even though she's not the daughter of a famous wrestler, she is married to an Uso, who are a very integral part, an important part of the WWE. So who knows? Who knows? But that's the story that still needs to be told. That still can be told because they failed to do it here, where it was right there on a silver platter. It would have made everything make sense. But no, instead we just have Naomi being jaded, no pun intended, and jealous, and trying to protect her friend Bianca, and that just all comes off as cringy and cheesy and unnecessary, where there was such a better story to be told here. Finally, when we're talking about the women, let's get it over with here. From the minute Charlotte Flair won the Royal Rumble and made everybody's eyes bleed with her new face, I knew that it was going to be a shit show going forward. The storm of shit that has been thrown at us thanks to the return of Charlotte Flair and her controversial ways was inevitable. And now here we are, 1 week away from WrestleMania. She's having a big time match with Tiffany Stratton, a newly crowned women's champion, a newly budding superstar who's on the precipice of becoming the next huge female superstar on the main roster. You could maybe argue she's kind of already there, but what she needs now is a serious feud against somebody like a Charlotte Flair, and she needs to win. But Charlotte Flair, knowing this, I'm speculating here, is throwing Tiffany Stratton under the bus at every chance she can. In that face-to-face interview, Charlotte went off script. Tiffany was trapped there like a deer in headlights. She didn't know what to say. She was trying to be professional. She was trying to move the script forward, but Charlotte kept fucking around. Fast forward, some idiots in creative said, well, that went really well. Let's do it again on live TV. Let's put them in the ring. And let's try this again. Because, that first time, that was aces. Then it happens again. Both of these girls end up going off script. They start putting personal jabs in there to the point where they made everybody believe that Charlotte Flair was being disciplined and that she's not at SmackDown this week. And that was a whole nother bag of worms that we're not even going to fucking talk about. But this feud has gone off the rails so heavily already. Nobody knows who's the good guy, who's the bad guy. The fans don't want Charlotte back. And if she did come back, we definitely don't want her wrestling for championships. She came back and immediately we're right back where we fucking left off. What Charlotte Flair needed to do was come back and be an underdog. Come back and, be... what's the word? Be gracious to the fans. Be thankful to the fans. Say, listen, I know last time I was this and that, but now I'm working hard to get back. Show Charlotte Flair training. Show her rehabbing like they did with Triple H when he busted his quad. He left, he was a son of a bitch. Everybody fucking hated Triple H. The two-man power trip was ruining wrestling, according to most fans. But he came back to thunderous applause. Why? Because for weeks, we seen him rehabbing his knee. We seen him putting the work in. We seen him in pain. We seen Stephanie telling us how things were going personally in their personal life. How troubling it was for him. How difficult it was for him. And it made everybody root for him. He didn't come back and start showing everybody, hey, yeah, I'm a millionaire now. I'm married to the boss's daughter. I don't have to fucking give a shit about anything. Look at me living the life. He wasn't away on vacation. He was on rehab. Charlotte, you weren't on vacation. You were rehabbing. But you told the world that you're just chilling out on your yachts and all your vignettes and shit, and you turned everybody right back against you. Everything was done incorrectly, and it continues to be going down that route. And the only reason I think anybody wants to see Charlotte Flair versus Tiffany Stratton is to see just how fucked up it ends up being, and maybe just how personal it ends up being, and if these girls end up in a real shoot or not. That's what everybody's looking forward to. Nobody cares about anything else. Nobody believes Kaiser's in her DMs. Ridiculous. And if they don't get Charlotte to put over Tiffany at Mania, the whole thing is worthless. It'll all be for nothing. And Charlotte will be champ again because WWE's obsession with Ric Flair's inaccurate official number of championships held. And Tiffany Stratton gets buried and goes back to the bottom of the barrel. What would you like to see happen? Neither one of those things. The opposite of those things. That's what I want. Huge problem number 2. You can't really see this problem because it's John Cena. Now, John Cena himself technically isn't the problem, but the booking between Cena and Cody Rhodes leading to what could have and should have been one of the biggest matches in WrestleMania history has kind of flustered and fell off and became dull and boring. Like, who gives a shit? It's almost an inevitability that John Cena is going to win. WWE made 3 key errors with this whole thing. The first one being the disappearance of The Rock. Once again, The Rock shows up and then poof! Vanishes away. He has joined forces with John Cena. John Cena is going to be his corporate champion, but he doesn't want to tell us why. He doesn't want to stick around and be there for John, his champ. You know, he's got other big business to take care of. He's got Hollywood business. He's got TKO business. I understand that. Then don't do this. Then don't get involved in the story if you're not going to be around to put in the work. I don't understand it. No explanation, no Instagram posts, promos like he likes to do. And all of this is happening because of him. So it feels like something is missing from the angle. Because a key ingredient from the pie is not there. You got John Cena as the crust. You got Cody Rhodes as the filling. But The Rock is the pan that it all got to sit in. And the pan ain't there. So the pie's falling apart. The Rock likes pie. That's why I use that analogy. I figured he would understand it. Number 2. Cody Rhodes seem mad to you? Does he seem like anything that John Cena did at the Elimination Chamber bothered him? He got mugged on national television by the 2 biggest names in professional wrestling history, The Rock and John Cena. He got slapped in the face by some rapper that nobody gives 2 shits about. Popped his eardrum. Then he comes out for a face-to-face with John Cena and his music hits and he comes out and he's all, whoa! And all smiling with the crowd. Like, he's not even like, mad. He's not even showing anger until he gets in the ring and gets the microphone and then, oh, now it's time to be mad. That's not how this works. Can you imagine if Stone Cold Steve Austin or Bret Hart in the middle of their blood feud, the match that's going into the Hall of Fame this year. Can you imagine if Bret Hart came out and was all like high-fiving the fucking fans and bam, 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 doing his whole shoulder thing and no. He used to get out there, he used to hit the ring. They didn't even let the fucking music finish. They would attack each other in the aisleway. They would attack each other during each other's entrances. They would attack each other in the back. They wouldn't be allowed near each other because they're trying to hold back and save it for the match. That's what they're doing here. It's like, all right, we don't want to have them touch. We'll just have everything be verbal. But then you had Cody hit the crossroads on John Cena. And then John Cena lays there like he's out cold from one fucking crossroads. Meanwhile, me and you and everybody in the world knows that it's going to take way more than one crossroads to effectively defeat John Cena, if Cody Rhodes even defeats John Cena. You just had him put the ending of the match right there on Monday Night Raw for the world to see. 2 weeks away from WrestleMania. You couldn't hold it in your pants for 2 more weeks? No. You do one or the other. You either have them so angry that they're going to kill each other whenever they come within 50 feet of each other, or you have them both decide to be civil and keep everything verbal, and we're going to do this the civil way until we get to the match. You can't do both, because now you're just killing it. Cody hit Cena with one crossroads. I think that was the biggest mistake of all of the things that they've done here. Here's where they killed it. And they almost guaranteed to us, by Cody getting in that shot, that John Cena is going to win the main event of WrestleMania. The actual main event of WrestleMania. Which brings me to the last big problem, which is the last match of night one. The men's triple threat: Roman Reigns, CM Punk, Seth Rollins. And this is not a main event. Listen, this is a hot take. And look, I'm wearing the shirt of the best in the world. CM Punk has always been top 3 guys for me ever since he showed up. He's one of my top 3 always. Does he deserve a main event of WrestleMania? Abso-fucking-lutely he does. Is this a WrestleMania main event? No, it is not. Yes, technically, it's going on last during the first night of WrestleMania, which technically puts it in the middle, right? If you want to get technical, the main event of night one is just the middle of the card. I understand it's a main event match to many people, right? But why is it a main event match? It's not a main event to me. Because you can't just be a main event because you're a big star. At least not at WrestleMania. Who gives a shit who wins this match or who loses this match, unless your personal stake in it is you are a fan of Punk, or you're a fan of Seth, or you're a fan of Roman, so you're pulling for your favorite. There are no stakes here. There is nothing for these 3 guys to even be fucking fighting for. They're just fighting because they don't like each other. There was a much better way to do this. It's very simple. If you really wanted this match to be considered a main event, You can't rely on just the star power of the three men involved alone. Oh, that's the main event because it's Seth and Roman and Punk. No. No. You have to put something up for grabs. There has to be something at stake. Possibly a title shot at SummerSlam. That's all you really needed to do. But if you wanted to have fun, which I thought that's what they were trying to do, right? Wrestling, you're supposed to be having fun with it, and creative, you should be having fun with it. And wouldn't it have been much better if somehow in the last couple of weeks, as CM Punk's favor has been revealed and Roman is getting pissed off and now Seth Rollins is owed a favor, wouldn't it have been fun and interesting if somehow this match was for the custody of Paul Heyman? Well, that would make sense, right? Because Punk wants him. Paul Heyman is currently with Roman, right? Contractually at the moment, technically he's the wise man. But now Punk wants his best friend back, so that would work that way. If Roman wins, he gets to keep his wise man. If Punk wins, he gets his best friend back to help him moving forward in his career and getting him to a real WrestleMania main event for a championship or something like that. So what about Seth Rollins? He's not going to want Paul Heyman, right? No, of course not. He's not going to want Paul Heyman. But here's where the fun part comes in. Have Seth Rollins tell everybody, I don't even fucking want Paul Heyman. This doesn't really do anything for me, but I love it, and I'll tell you why. Because when I win at WrestleMania, this is Seth, when I win at WrestleMania, Paul Heyman becomes my manager. He will help me get back to the World Heavyweight Championship status where I belong. And you, Roman Reigns, and you, CM Punk, will do nothing about it, because my first order as Paul Heyman will be my manager is for him never to see CM Punk again. You will never see Roman Reigns again. You can't text. You can't meet for lunch. You can't even like each other's Instagram posts. You can't follow them on the socials. You're totally gone. Blacklisted, out of his life for good. And you will have to sit back and watch as your wise man and your former best friend guide me to the title yous both covet so much. Right there! It's all fucking right there! Stakes! Drama! Vengeance! But what do we got? We got a triple threat for the sake of a triple threat, so that we can call it a main event, and it just kind of comes off like they're just trying to make CM Punk happy. Like, oh, here's a fucking match. It's not really a main event, but we're going to call it a main event so that you could, kick that off your bucket list and we could fucking move on. Because they're not interested in telling that story. CM Punk's main event WrestleMania match should be much bigger than this. It's just like the streak, right? You've built it up. Oh, Punk's never had a main event match at WrestleMania. He's never had a main event. That's why he's back. That's one of the motivating factors for his return to the WWE. That's one of the promises made to him by Triple H, possibly. We don't know. Speculation there. But you could throw that into the storyline. That's why this man is here. He wants to end the night at WrestleMania as the World Heavyweight Champion or the WWE Undisputed Champion. That's a fucking main event. Not just a random triple threat. That nothing is at stake. Not a title shot. Nobody's career is on the line. Nobody's manager is on the line. There's no money at stake. They're just fighting to fight. And I guess to see who's the best in the world? I don't know. But it all comes off very underwhelming. In each scenario that we have brought up here, I have given you an alternate way that it could have gone down and should have gone down to make things feel more appealing, to make things feel more important and more intense. They finally righted the ship with Jey Uso and Gunther. That, for the first couple of weeks, felt like nobody even gave a shit. All of a sudden, Jey Uso's in a random feud with A-Town Down Under? For what? For what? What are they fucking involved for? It was very stupid. But then they refocused up. You had Gunther destroy Jimmy Uso, leaving him a bloody mess and triggering something in Jey Uso that now we're going to see a whole different side of Jey Uso. Giving you more reason to want to see the match. Drama. Intensity. WrestleMania. None of these other matches really have that. And funnily enough, the one match that I was complaining about the most at the beginning ended up being the one that I'm mostly looking forward to. I'm looking forward to Jey Uso versus Gunther. And then there are a couple of other ones. You know, there are 14 matches on this card. Well, 13 and then possibly a 14th match if there's Randy versus his mystery opponent. We don't know what's going on with that. But it's Gunther and Jey Uso for the World Heavyweight Championship. I'm looking forward to LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu for the United States Championship. Those guys are both fucking great, both over like pancakes, and it's amazing. I am somewhat looking forward to Cena versus Cody just to see how it ends and to see what the direction of the WWE is going to be going forward. But mostly, out of all of the matches, I believe the one I'm mostly looking forward to is the Intercontinental Championship Fatal 4-Way. Because Penta's gonna win. Penta's gotta win. But the talent in that match is unfucking believable. And this is going to be a WrestleMania Fatal 4-Way. I don't think we've seen one of these in quite some time. And these guys are going to have a lot to prove. They're going to have a chip on their shoulder. They got a lot of big talent on this card. It's going to be a great fucking match. Priest versus McIntyre will be okay, I'm sure. El Gran Gable Americano versus Rey Mysterio. This needed a little bit more build. I was enjoying it, but it really just got started, and now we're going to have this match at Mania. And, of course, despite how poorly the build was, and despite how there is nothing at stake, I need to know what's going to happen with Punk, Roman, and Seth. Those, not saying these are going to be bad matches. They're all going to be great. They just all seem somewhat meaningless. Especially the ones that aren't for a championship. Or aren't for a title. So now let's do a rundown of the whole entire card. We got night one. Night number one will be kicked off with the World Heavyweight Championship match. Gunther versus Jey Uso, followed by Chad Gable, El Gran Americano Mask Guy versus Rey Mysterio. Then we will have the World Tag Team Championships for Raw, the War Raiders versus the New Day, which I don't think anybody really gives two shits about. Jade versus Naomi, you heard my thoughts about that. LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu. It's Jacob Fatu's time. I'm ready. LA Knight definitely needs to be moved up. I want to see Jacob win this thing. Tiffany versus Charlotte is a train wreck in the making. I am not looking forward to it for any other reason than that, because it's not going to be good. I really, if this match ends up being good in any way, I will, I'll apologize and I'll take back what I said, but this is not going to be good. And then you got Punk versus Seth versus Roman to close out the first night of WrestleMania. WrestleMania Saturday, as it's called. WrestleMania Sunday is going to be kicked off with AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. I love me some AJ Styles, but I loathe me some Logan Paul. And if AJ Styles doesn't win, I think I'll just have a conniption, because that's what I do. And I don't want to see Logan Paul win at anything. I don't think any of us do. He doesn't have the right kind of heat, right? We don't hate him because he's an effective heel. We hate him because he's an effective douchebag. I don't want to see. He doesn't deserve to be on a WrestleMania card. I mean, I know he's been on it before, but can he just go away now? Like, you proved your point. You can wrestle. Go away. Go do something else. And I know that he loves the fact that I hate him, so it's like you can't win, right? He's going to eat up my tears and be like, woo-hoo, cry, you know, all that shit they do. But I can't help it. I have to. The unnecessary women's tag team title match, Liv and Raquel versus Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. We talked about Priest versus McIntyre. The Intercontinental title fatal four-way that I am really anticipating. Braun Breaker, Penta, Finn Balor, and Dominic Mysterio. The women's world title triple threat match, Io, Bianca, and Rhea. What a mess that is. And then Cody Rhodes versus John Cena for all the marbles in the WWE Universal Championship, undisputed WWE Undisputed Championship. I will be here when WrestleMania is over with the review and my thoughts on how everything has gone down, and we will see if any of my predictions are correct. Let me know what you think is going to happen at WrestleMania down in the comments below. Thank you all so much for being here. My name is Nick Nightmare. You've been watching the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show right here on Sledgehammer TV. The dogs are barking, which means it's time to go, and we will see you next weekend for WrestleMania 41. If only it was booked a little bit